Hello viewers, join us in our Bible study today as we continue studying the Bible. Today's focus being the book of Judges chapter 16, chapter 17 and chapter 18. Throughout these chapters, we will be witnessing themes on God's purpose and sovereignty, human frailty and spiritual decadence. Chapter 16 of Judges reveals a phase in Samson's life where he continues relating with Philistine women, a significant aspect in God's plan to deliver the children of Israel from Philistines. By this time, Samson is already a judge in Israel and has served for a period of about 20 years, during which he has been victorious against the Philistines. As a result, the Philistines are now cautious and employ utter precision in their schemes to capture, fight, or destroy Samson in an attempt to regain control over Israel. So we see the Philistines persistently seeking ways to overthrow Samson and, if possible, kill him so as to regain control over Israel. At the same time, Samson continues with his activities and becomes involved with two other women, one being a prostitute and the other the infamous Delilah. The Philistine lords, who have been monitoring Samson closely, notice his relationship with Delilah and quickly engage her in an attempt to discover the source of his strength, which will be critical in destroying him. Before we proceed, it is important to acknowledge that it's a common strategy for people to scheme before we can proceed, we have to highlight that it is a common strategy for people to scheme in order to achieve their goals. In this case, we see the Philistines devising a cunning plan or a cunning scheming through Delilah so as to capture and detain Samson. However, or on the contrary, while human schemes may seem to achieve their intended outcomes, they can never surpass the wisdom of God or thwart His plans or His purpose. The Bible outlines that worldly wisdom is considered foolishness by God, as it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. After a lengthy while, the Philistines' scheme against Samson eventually achieved the intended goal, which led to the capture and imprisonment of Samson. During this time, Samson's hair, the source of his strength, was shaved. At the same time, his eyes were gouged out. While this appeared to be a victorious moment or a victorious day for the people of Philistine, they were unaware that their judgment and destruction were drawing closer and on the right course. This situation draws parallels to Satan's thoughts and actions during the life, death, and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Throughout Jesus' journey, which was orchestrated by God, numerous mocked him and celebrated what they thought was his defeat. Yet, to their dismay, Jesus conquered the forces of darkness, that is sin, death, and Satan, through his life and also through his crucifixion, and by rising from the dead. In essence, Jesus and his followers ultimately earned the last laugh in human perspective. In a similar manner, while the Philistines' lords believe they have defeated Samson, this is just a step in God's plan to bring them to an assembly where he will ultimately destroy them alongside their deity, Dagon, and numerous other Philistine gods. It is important to remember that as God delivers Israel from Philistines, his ultimate purpose and usually encompasses three objectives: the redemption of mankind, the destruction of Satan, and restoration of his glory. These objectives are realized as God destroys Philistine lords, Dagon, and Philistine gods during the sacrificial assembly at the temple, where they falsely believe they are offering sacrifice in celebration to Dagon for victory against Israel. The Bible recounts that after a period of imprisonment, Samson's hair regrew and his strength returned, which the Philistines did not know. On the day of their sacrificial festival to Dagon, they mocked Samson while praising their God. Samson, on the other hand, was praying to God for his strength that he might revenge or avenge for his eyes, during which he brought down the entire temple and caused the death of numerous Philistines, including the lords of the Philistines and the young-corned Dagon, among numerous other Philistine gods. Through this act, God avenged the Israelites and delivered them from the hands of the Philistines. We conclude this chapter with a few insights. The first being the fact that it's crucial to recognize God's sovereignty and his mysterious ways in our lives. Remember that he chose Samson from a seemingly insignificant family and used him to deliver the children of Israel from the hands of the Philistines. This underscores the importance of maintaining faith in God even when circumstances appear contrary to our expectations, or even when everything seems to be working against our expectations or our thought process. Typically, God works through each individual according to his purpose, which which in some cases can diverge significantly from societal norms, as is the case with the life of Samson. Let us now take a focus on the next chapters, that is chapter 17 and chapter 18. In Judges 17, we encounter a narrative that reveals moral decline and religious confusion among the children of Israel. We know that during this time, the Bible says that there were no kings or leaders in Israel, and every person did according to what they pleased. We have to note that in instances where people are doing according to how they please or are living as they please, some of the perspectives in life that change or are affected significantly include the spiritual values. In Judges 17, we are presented with a narrative that centers around a man called Micah, who steals silver from his mother and later confesses to her, prompting her to bless her in the name of the Lord. Micah later returns the items that he had stolen, particularly silver, and his mother decides to concentrate a portion of it to make a carved image and a household shrine, essentially establishing a private place of worship contrary to the commandments of God. At the same time, we see Micah appointing one of his sons as a priest for his shrine, or for this shrine, which further illustrates disregard for Levitical priesthood as established by God. Typically, Judges 17 underscores the spiritual chaos and division from true worship that characterized this era in the history of Israel. In Judges chapter 18, we witness the tribe of Dan seeking new territory due to the lack of sufficient land allotted to them. They sent spies to explore the region of Laish, where they discover peaceful and unsuspecting inhabitants. As a result, they get encouraged, knowing that they will easily overthrow the inhabitants and occupy that land. Following the encouragement by the spies' report, the Danites launch a military expedition to conquer Laish and claim it as their own inheritance. Another thing that we notice is that along the way, they steal Micah's carved image and priesthood, demonstrating their willingness to adopt idolatrous practices in pursuit of their own interests. This chapter highlights the ongoing moral and religious corruption within Israel, as well as disregard for God's laws and commandments, and more so because there are no leaders to guide or direct them in the ways that they should walk. As we conclude our Bible study, we can draw some critical insights into the significance of leadership as demonstrated during the times of judges in Israel, such as with Samson, where adherence to God's commandment was upheld. On the other hand, we have seen that when there were no leaders, that there was moral decadence in the children of Israel. Typically, Without leaders, people often stray and do as they please, as seen with individuals like Micah, among others, in chapters 17 and chapter 18. We conclude by mentioning that lack of leadership often lead people astray because everyone does as they please, even if it is contrary to the expectations of others, and more so, even if it is contrary to the will of God. To wrap it up, let us consider a simple question. Did you know that as a Christian, alongside following earthly laws and leaders, the Bible serves as a guide for leading a godly life every day? Thank you for studying with us. Let us meet again in our next Bible study.